Hey guys, what is going on? Abby here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my updated level 53 Cryo Fl4k build. This is a Rakk attack focus build with cryo efficiency. This video will be an update to my initial Cryo Rakk attack build in case you guys want to check out that video as well, but I'm going to be going over everything in this video too, so no worries. If you've already watched the Cryo Rakk videos before and you're just here for the skill tree, I'm going to put it up on the screen right now so you guys can pause and take a screenshot. But as you guys know, we have a new skill cap of 53, so we got some additional points we can play around with. The Cryo Rakk attack build is centered on cryo efficiency, on freezing the enemies as a way to get more sustainability for Fl4k. It helps us freeze everything, and then we do more damage to those enemies because of our icebreaker artifact. So this is super important to get for this build. The icebreaker auto idle also gives us health back on kill, so that's going to help for sustainability as well. On my particular icebreaker, I've got cryo damage, cryo efficiency, and health per second. This is pretty much the ideal, if not pretty much the ideal artifact for me, so I'm still using a level 50 artifact. If you guys can find a higher one, you'll get some extra bonus damage. I think it goes up to 36 or 37%, but whatever one you have is still going to work fine. You can also find purple icebreakers as well. They won't be auto idles, but you can do that. The auto idle drops from Tyrene, which is kind of a horrible farm, but you can also find it as a world drop, so keep your eye out for those icebreakers. For the class mod in this build, we're going to be using the Rakk pack. This allows us to touch more enemies with our Rakk attack. We're basically using our Rakk attack as a way to debuff the enemies, and the Rakk pack perk is whenever Fl4k's Rakk hits an enemy, they split into more Rakks that seek out enemies. So we're going to be able to hit up to 5 enemies with this class mod. And then on here I've got SMG damage because I love me some SMGs. We got shield recharge delay and assault rifle damage, all good stuff. So the reason why I'm using this class mod and why I think this class mod is great is when you have a lot of weapons with the anointment enemies damaged by Rakk attack take 100% increased damage for a short time. That anointment, the damage is multiplicative, so it's going to trump the weapon 100% one, but for normal Rakk attack you're not going to hit as many enemies. So the reason why we like Rakk pack is that we can utilize this anointment and get the most from it versus 100% weapon damage. However, if you don't have Rakk pack, you can use Cosmic Stalker is a good replacement. It's going to buff your hunt skills and also give you more damage that way. And then if you are using Cosmic Stalker, then I would definitely recommend using on action skill and weapon damage is increased by 100% for a short time. That's going to be the anointment to use if you're not using Rakk pack. And then for our shield, we have a stopgap. You can also use a transformer here. Those are two really solid shields that I would recommend for Fl4k. So for our grenade, we're using the Mitosis Hunter Seeker. This one right here, it's in level 50, but that's all right. We're just using it for the action skill and bonus cryo damage, and also the high cryo efficiency of this grenade. It's 1571, which is crazy. However, it's going to do low damage, so it's not going to be freezing things on its own unless it's a little enemy. You could also use a recurring hex or something like that, as long as it has cryo damage on action skill end. And then on your shield, you're going to want a different on action skill end bonus element. So we've got corrosive on here, but you could also use incendiary, radiation. You just want to switch it up based on the enemies that you're fighting. And then for our weapons, we've got the redistributor, which has a Rakk attack anointment. We've got the brainstormer for mass mobbing. If you got a lot of enemies in your way, this is a good way to take them out. We've got the Nighthawken, more for single target damage. This is a level 50 weapon, but it still wrecks at level 53. This is mostly for our single target. You could also use a Scoville, is super nice for a single target as long as you can get some distance from the enemy. The Craps is also a really good weapon for single target. You can also use Dictator if you are fighting bigger targets. And then lastly here, we've got the wedding invitation. Oh yes, this weapon is so amazing. If you guys haven't gotten yours yet from the Broken Hearts event, please definitely log on and get this guy. It is so powerful and so awesome, so fun to use. I was lucky enough that on my Zane playthrough of the Broken Hearts event, I actually got a Rakk anointed one, which is crazy, but I'm equipping this specifically for this Proving Grounds for the anointed tanks. So we're going to try using the wedding invitation against the anointed tanks. Normally, before I had this gun, I was using this Scoville right here, which works just as well. You just have to make sure that the tank is not teleporting right next to you, because you may blow yourself up with your own gun. And that is the loadout that we're going for. Obviously, you guys can switch it up. You can use whatever cryo weapon fits your playstyle, what you like to do. You could use a Crab's pistol, you could use a Crossroads, you could use whatever your heart desires. You could use an ion laser. Ion laser would be really dope with this. You could use a recursion cryo. So just, you know, keep that in mind when you're searching for new gear. Whatever you get, it could work. Also, another note, because we have the bonus cryo damage as an anointment on our grenade, these other weapons that are not cryo are going to do cryo after we throw racks. So the Brainstormer is great for freezing enemies after your action skill end and that anointment kicks in. You could also use a Maggie as well for your single target damage. If you enjoy that, you could use an EMP5. You could really use anything as long as you have that ASE cryo damage on either your shield or your grenade. And then on the other one, you're going to have another element. So you're kind of complementing the cryo with a different element. Alright guys, so here is the skill tree recommendations for level 53 Cryo Rakk build. Here is my red tree. You guys can see we go down in here. It's very similar to our initial Rakk build. However, we are going to be putting more points into Grim Harvest. But up here, if you guys use multi-projectile weapons like the Brainstormer, like the Maggie, or the Stagecoach, Bang Stick, anything like that, you're not going to want to go into Two Fang. Because I mostly use SMGs, I always go into Two Fang. It just works well with my playstyle. However, if you are using multi-projectile weapons, don't put the 5 points in here. I would recommend putting them into Hunter's Eye instead. Speaking of Hunter's Eye, I know you guys are going to ask me in the comments why I didn't go into Hunter's Eye, because it's currently bugged and I don't feel like the 5 points is worth the crit damage that we get. So in the game right now, we're mostly fighting humans all the time. A lot of endgame mobbing and things are humans, unless you're like in Cistern of Slaughter or something like that, and you're getting that damage reduction versus beasts, which might be worthwhile, or the armor damage in Mala 1 Takedown. If you're fighting Mala 1 Takedown a lot, if you're farming that a lot, then 5 out of 5 in a Hunter's Eye may be worth it. However, it is bugged. This skill is bugged. It does not actually give you the full bonus that is shown on the card. At 5 out of 5, the human crit is around 12%. Instead of 15%, and then the robot armor damage is around 15% instead of 30%. So as you guys can see, the damage numbers is, well, at least for the armor damage is quite different. The critical hit damage is not as bad, but I just feel like for 5 points, getting 12% crit hit damage is really not that great. So what we did was I went down here into Grim Harvest and I got 4 points into Grim Harvest instead. That's going to give us an additional 12% gun damage, just flat gun damage, versus potentially getting 12% crit hit damage. I felt like this was a better play. So with Hunter's Eye, you will get up to 15% if you do have 3 out of 3 in a big game, because you're going to be boosting it by 30%. So you will end up getting about 15-16% crit hit damage versus humans. With Grim Harvest, we're going to be getting a total of 21% gun damage, and with the 4 points and minus the 3 points in my class mod, so with just the 4 points, that's going to give us 12% gun damage. So I felt like just overall that was better, because we're also getting action skill damage and pet damage. So our racks are going to hit harder, our pet's going to hit a little harder. I know you guys make fun of me for wanting my pet to do damage, but sue me, okay? So that's the red trait. If you guys want, you can always go into Hunter's Eye, but I wanted to explain my reasoning behind putting points into Grim Harvest because I know that is not really much of a meta thing to do, but it's my preference. And then for our pet, we're going to be using the Spider Ant, and the skill augments are Rack Open a Cold One for Cryo Rakks and Flock and Load for the additional racks. If you're having a hard time staying alive, or if you want just a little more sustainability, if you're fighting against Wotan or something like that, you can always switch to Falconer's Feast to get health back on rack damage. The green tree, as always, is blank. We're going to go over to the blue tree now. In the blue tree, we've got pretty much the same setup, but we're going to be putting an extra point into Pack Tactics. This is going to boost our damage, our pet's damage, and our health as well. So I've got a 5 out of 3 with the 2 points for my class mod, which is really great. Ideally, I would love to have 6 out of 3. The ideal Rack Pack class mod would give us 3 into Pack Tactics and 2 into Grim Harvest. Right now I have it the other way around, but my perks are much better on this Rack Pack, which is why I'm using that one. The other explanation I want to give to you guys is for Psycho Head on a Stick. A lot of people don't take Psycho Head on a Stick because it's just pet damage and movement speed. However, I feel like it works really well with the Spider Ant. It helps her get around quicker and also helps her get to the enemies to do more damage, which when your pet is doing more damage, you're going to get more health regen as Fl4k. So this Who Rescued Who, we've got 4 points in there. If you guys want, you could do 5 out of 5 into Who Rescued Who, take the point out of Psycho Head on a Stick and test it out, see what you guys think. But for me, I felt like it was better to get my pet moving quicker because that's going to help us get more health regen. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you want to see more Borderlands 3 content, educational content, and build content, then definitely hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. I also stream on twitch.tv every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We have a really fun time there, coming up with builds, farming, and doing the Borderlands science. So if you ever want to stop by twitch.tv/AbbyR and say hi, I would love to see you guys there. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.